So this is what I find fascinating, and I'm going to speak for myself, that for me, understanding other cultures, other people, other languages is a long-seated love of mine. I have been learning languages since I was in high school. When I was in high school, I was taking French, German, and Russian simultaneously. And during lunchtime, I was taking Dutch lessons once a week. And then in the evenings, my mom had to sign a paper so I could take adult education. I was taking Italian lessons at night. So this is something that is just near and dear to my heart. I've also lived overseas extensively. I was an exchange student when I was in France. During college, I lived in Ukraine during the Roaring '90s. And after college, I lived for a year in Morocco. I've also worked in Lebanon, and then I've traveled other places as well. And it's something that is very important to me. Since I've come to Minnesota, my interests have shifted because I found myself at this nexus of culture and language in the Twin Cities, especially East African culture. So I've become a student of East African culture, especially Somali language, and I've been studying Somali and trying to get to know the Somali culture and people here. And I had a great experience when I was in San Diego. I heard some cab drivers there speaking Somali, so I went up to them and I said in Somali, I said, and he said, hey, how do you know Somali? And I said, oh, I live in Minnesota. Like, oh, okay. So every Somali in the world knows Minnesota. But it's interesting because many Minnesotans do not know about Somalis, interestingly enough. And so this is what really got me started in trying to understand more about how can we understand more about cultures within the company, but also one of the things that I talked over with some of the speakers is what can we do to improve not only as employees but as human beings by learning about other cultures. This is what is near and dear to me. And some of us here, many of us here already have a lot of experience with other cultures. So for those of you who are new and are just learning about other cultures, I welcome you, and we have a lot of fun because people here in tend to be very curious, and they tend to be very smart, and they tend to love to learn about new things. So if you're coming in from the outside, you're already something new for us to find out about. And so it's wonderful to be able to see you and to meet you and to understand you and learn about you. But those of you who have a lot of experience with other cultures, who have traveled extensively, who were born in other countries, who lived most of their lives in other countries, there's still a lot to be learned. As you all know, no one here thinks they've got it figured out. That's why they're still here for Professional Development Day. So I want to also speak to that group of people because I believe that there is a way that we can push even farther into our understanding of other cultures. And then we have other people from the Middle East in our group. And it was very interesting because when this big question came up about what are we going to do next, someone from the Middle East says, we can take care of this, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. And what was interesting is there was a lot of mistrust that came up at this point. Why would that come up? Because when a Middle Easterner says, don't worry, we'll take care of it, you're wondering, how is he going to take care of it, right? What's he going to be doing? Is this all on the up and up? Can we be okay with this? Do we want to commit to this? Because it sounds like there might be something else going on. What's going on here? And there was tension. There was tension in the group. There was a problem in the group. What was it? There was distrust of this person from this other culture. Now, we can say he's an immigrant from another country. Say, oh, maybe he doesn't understand how we do things in this country, right? The guy has lived in Kuwait, the guy's lived he did his studies in India, he's lived in the United States for decades, he knows. So that's not the case. So what's going on? So this is the question that arose. There is this distrust of what is he up to, what's he thinking? Because when he says, don't worry about it, to the Anglo-Saxon mind, is this going to be up and up? This might be suspicious. To an Arab mind, this is, you don't have to worry about it. We have people who can take care of it. You can worry about other things. But that statement already brings up mistrust. And what happens once you have that mistrust is you have a rift. And then you have silos that build up around us. And we can see this happening in corporate life even. We see silos forming around different cultures and ways of thinking, especially around those who know enough to be dangerous. We're working with a team in India, for example, and they keep telling me yes. Well, I know that Indians, sometimes they say yes when they actually don't mean yes. It drives me crazy. Right? Why can't they just say what they're thinking? And this is the point where you have rifts that open up, and you have silos that form. I'm lucky enough that I have someone from India working on my team, and we were working with a vendor who were in Boston, but they were mainly Pakistani and Indians. We had a meeting, and it went horrible. Like, people were really upset with each other. So afterwards, I went to my colleague, and I said, okay, you were there at the meeting. If this happened in India, how would you have done it? And he said, oh, if this had happened in India, there would have been much more yelling. Okay, now I can see why that didn't happen in Minnesota, because we don't yell at each other in Minnesota. We give each other the cold shoulder, we roll our eyes, we say, we gotta go now, and hang up the phone in a very polite tone. We won't yell. We won't threaten. We're not gonna pay you unless you do this. I know you keep saying yes, but until we see results, we're not doing anything. This is not happening in a meeting. It's not happening at a meeting in Minnesota, most likely. But you see the misunderstanding and the rifts. But what I also want to bring is that we have people here who are willing to teach us. We think, oh, Chinese, you hear something from the Chinese, like, oh, they're just trying to dictate to us what they want us to do, right? We have these political preconceptions of how Chinese people act. But is this the case? Have you asked a Chinese person how that meeting sounded to them? This is how we can learn even more. And what I would stress in my own experience and what I've seen is find those people who know something more about cultures than you do. One thing that changed my life, one of my good friends, his father speaks Spanish, and he was a real estate agent. He used to work, it was in Denver, and used to work a lot with people from different nationalities and different backgrounds. And at his church, a bunch of people said, we want to do a nice thing for the community. We want to teach English language to Latinos. We want to offer free ESL classes. And he said, guess what? Those people, they're actually happy speaking Spanish. They just have to speak English sometimes to work. So if you want to do a favor for them, sit your butt in the chair and learn Spanish. Why do you make them do the work? Now, I understand learning English in this country and being able to function in English in this country is important. But to think that you're doing a favor, how are you doing that favor? Are you doing a favor by continuing to teach? Or are you doing a favor by continuing to learn? And this is what I find to be essential, is are we willing to continue to learn in spite of what we already know? In addition to what we already know. Leverage what we already know, that's fine. But you have to be careful. You have to be careful you're not generalizing. You have to be careful you're not judging. Oh, that sounds suspicious. I don't know if I can trust them. Say, how does this sound to you? Do you trust them? If my Indian colleague says I don't trust them, I know that there's something going on. But if it's on my own, I don't know enough. I have to find out. This is what I want us to do. I want us to continue to listen. I want us to continue to learn. And I want to push to the next level. You know, whatever I can do to learn, whatever we can do to teach, that's what I want people to do. I want to understand what resources do we already have here that we're not exploiting, that we're not learning from. We've got a lot here. We've got a lot here that we're not using, we're not learning from. So through with languages, I think it's a very concrete way, because if you want to know what it is to learn about another culture, the hard work of having to sit your butt in the chair and study and work in your free time, you understand what it means to actually learn. And if nothing else, you learn what they had to go through before they came. You know, people say to me, oh, Germans, Swedes, it's amazing. They speak English like they're fluent. They're just amazing. No, they're not amazing. They worked hard from 3rd grade every single year learning English. That's how they did it. I asked my Norwegian friend, how did you learn English so well? He's like, oh, we did it in elementary school. What did you do in elementary school? This is a pen. This is a paper. This is a book. Year after year after year, and lo and behold, they're amazing. No, they put in the hard work. So, I know we're all busy doing hard work, but I think that we can put effort into breaking down the silos that even us who know about languages are participating in unwittingly. Break down those silos. Work towards understanding other people whom you don't understand. Ask other people how they are perceiving a situation. Move into that frame of mind in order to help, but also, as I said, help yourself as a human being. In my humble judgment, you will become a better human being if you do work towards this, if you try to understand better what's going on among the people around you and in our global environment.